Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight live on KMTV. I'm Naila Mohammed and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 11th of March. Project Parenting. Vulnerable mothers offered community in Swale ahead of Mother's Day.
Being a young mum on the island way back, to actually come and be able to serve these mums and these children is such a privilege.
Media in Medway. Journalism diploma returns to Kent as KMTV gains national accreditation.
What I love most about this job is the people you meet. You meet individuals from all walks of life, business owners, campaigners, families, counsellors, each with their own perspective.
And finally, Artists for Mental Health. Creators and visitors come together in Rochester to celebrate the importance of art for well-being.
You know, it's the thing that basically makes you stop and breathe.
Your top story tonight. As Mother's Day fast approaches, a charity in Swale has been offering sessions for vulnerable mums to socialise and get support. The Princess Project operates regular groups across Kent for mothers needing additional support, whether through befriending service, parenting advice or clothing bank. Ahead of Mother's Day, they're dialing up the energy, and Chloe Brewster headed to Sheerness to help with the setup.
For many of us, Mother's Day is a day to spend gifting flowers and making or receiving breakfast in bed. But for some mums in Kent, it's just another day to get through. There are 1.3 million children living in poverty in the UK, and 94% of mothers say they feel lonely at least some of the day. Charity The Princess Project hopes to change that. Through the community support groups across Sheppey, Maidstone, Gillingham and Tonbridge, they try to build mums a community while also offering crisis support and parenting resources. I headed to their Mother's Day celebration in Sheerness.
So the Princess Project offers all kinds of support to mums who just need a bit of a helping hand. So one-to-one support through befriending, group support through our mums clubs, which is what we've got happening here today. A lot of mums are quite isolated, so maybe are living away from family or don't have many friends in the same situation as them. A lot of mums struggling with their mental health, a lot of mums having difficulty with their finances because money is tight. We also support a lot of mums who've fled domestic abuse, families who are seeking asylum or refugee families.
Here at the Salvation Army Hall in Sheerness, the Princess Project is expecting 25 mums to show up. Here they'll play with their children, meet other mums and get snacks and hot drinks. They'll even get a Mother's Day gift to take away.
Being a young mum on the island way back, to actually come and be able to serve these mums and these children is such a privilege. Obviously, I've got the compassion, I've been there and felt this and been that where, you know, you feel that perhaps you don't fit in because you are a young mum, and to have that community time and just have that chat with other people.
So we really love Mother's Day at the Princess Project. We really love and value every single mum who comes through our doors. And I think it's a really amazing opportunity for us as a Christian charity to really extend the love of Jesus. And to we make up little gift bags. We have amazing volunteers who make those up with us, for us. And they, usually things that have been donated, which is amazing. And we gift those in the hope that that just shows our mums how much they're loved. Sometimes the gift bags that we give may be the only gift that they're given for Mother's Day. And so we just love to do that to show how much we value the mums that are part of our community.
For some of the mothers here, their gift this Mother's Day will be the community they build. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Sheerness.
Now, the RNLI rescued a teenage boy after he was pushed out to sea on a sinking boat. The Whitstable branch was called out to the incident near Laysdown on Tuesday afternoon, where a 17-year-old who was floating on a boat found by himself and his friends got carried out to sea by the offshore breeze. Once the boat began to sink, the teenage boy dialed the Coast Guard, who were able to promptly send a lifeboat and rescue him. RNLI Helm Ollie Myhill said that there's an obvious safety message here in that people finding a derelict craft on the beach should leave it well alone. Now, a man was airlifted to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after a train smashed into his car. Kent police are investigating the incident, which took place at a level crossing on Richborough near Sandwich yesterday at 4:32 p.m. Passengers on board the train described hearing a loud bang and feeling a sudden stop at the time of the accident. No other injuries were reported and inquiries are still ongoing to determine the origin of the crash. Rail operator South Eastern have said that the line is now clear. Next, new data has revealed a 20% increase in the number of people seeking help over concerns about their own or someone else's online sexual behaviour towards children. Over 300,000 people looked for support through Stop It Now, a child sexual abuse prevention service run by the Lucy Faithfull Foundation. Earlier today, I spoke to Stuart Allardyce, director of the foundation, to discuss more about what this meant for Kent. And a quick warning, this report does contain themes that some viewers may find distressing. So, Stuart, your new figures show that a 20% rise in people are seeking help over concerns about their own or someone else's online sexual behaviour towards children. What does this increase mean for families and young people here in Kent?
So I think what we're seeing across the UK, including in Kent, is increasing numbers of people being arrested for online sexual offences. Across the UK, about 4 or 5 years ago, there were around 800 individuals being arrested every year. Now it's up about 1,200. But we also see increasing numbers of individuals who are reaching out for help, particularly at the early stages of offending behaviour.
And do you see this as a worrying trend, or is it more positive that more people are coming forward for this help?
So if we unpack this a little bit, I think it's obviously concerning that we're seeing more online harm, more circulation of sexual images of children. And this is clearly a priority for law enforcement at the moment. But it is heartening that services such as our Stop It Now helpline are seeing an uplift in the number of people who are looking for help. But we're very keen to see the numbers for those looking for help at an early stage increasing as much as possible.
And how did you gather and analyse these new figures, this 20%? And do you have a sense of what the picture might look like specifically in places like Kent?
So the figures are drawn from a couple of different sources. I mean, one is those who are going to our online self-help materials. And some of it is individuals who are phoning our Stop It Now UK helpline. So we're seeing kind of an uplift across kind of all aspects of our services in relation to individuals who are worried about, if you like, problematic behaviour online, particularly problematic use of pornography, and that tipping into behaviour that is illegal.
If you or anyone you know have been affected by any of the themes discussed in this report, you can find support at stopitnow.org.uk. And now, shocking footage in Faversham has shown the moment a senior bank executive hacked down a neighbour's CCTV with an axe. The HSBC executive, James Gavin, used the tool as well as a shotgun to damage the recording device on land opposite his property in Selling. His antics were caught on another camera nearby, footage which landed him in court last week, and Chloe Brewster is in the studio with me now to discuss this further. Now, Chloe, this is a bit of a bizarre story, isn't it? Can you just take us through it from the beginning?
So Canterbury Crown Court heard how 50-year-old James Gavin, who you can see just there, he's a high-flying HSBC executive. He first shot down a camera installed on land opposite his home in July last year. Then, less than a week later, after that camera had been replaced, and the new replacement equipment became James's newest target. As well as armed with a gun, Gavin decided to go even more hardcore, bringing a drill and an axe along to help pull the camera down, as we can see in this footage here. However, due to an ironic twist of fate, another hidden wildlife camera caught Gavin doing the damage, as you can see there, and running away from the scene, footage which later ended up getting him arrested.
Now, why exactly did he do this?
So when questioned by police, he immediately confessed to his crime, explaining his behaviour was triggered by his concerns over the fire risks posed by the owner storing wooden pallets on the land close to his timber home. But Gavin, who has a salary of £10,000 per month, freely admitted to police that this was a, quote, ridiculous thing for him to have done. He subsequently pled guilty to 2 offences of damaging property and 2 offences of possessing a shotgun at the time of committing criminal damage.
And what was the sentence in the end?
So Gavin was spared prison when he appeared in court last week after a judge was told that being put in prison could cost the dad of two his really successful job. But Gavin, who had held a firearms certificate for about 13 to 15 years at the time, was said to appear remorseful and disappointed in his interview. But in a victim impact statement read to the court, Miss O'Shea, who rented the land where the camera was on for her horse, described as being in constant fear while James Gavin was around and while she was in the field nearby. And she said she was petrified the situation could escalate. James Gavin's lawyer explained that what happened was related to Gavin's struggles with his mental health, where he had been diagnosed with a depressive disorder. He'd also been experiencing vivid nightmares of fire in his home. So it explains a little bit about why he did this. The lawyer said that what happened had been a combination of frustration and a lack of judgment. In the end, though, he did receive a 12-month jail term, suspended for 12 months, and a £2,000 fine. And he was also ordered to complete up to 5 rehabilitation activity requirements and 180 hours of unpaid work.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Chloe. And now it's time for a short break, but coming up we'll be hearing from Andy Richards, our channel director here at KMTV, and Level 5 apprentice Maisie Walker about the Year in Journalism programme. We'll also be taking a look at the weather and still hearing more about Student 101. All that and more after the break. We'll see you soon. Now welcome back to Kent Tonight here on KMTV. Now, KMTV has recently been welcomed by the National Council for the Training of Journalists as an accredited course provider, bringing the NCTJ Diploma in Journalism back to Kent. This comes after the closure of the University of Kent's Journalism Department. Our Year in Journalism newly accredited course will be available to students from September, offering a full-time in-person programme. The course will be based here at Medway and delivered in partnership with the University of Kent, University of Greenwich and ILIF Media Group, as announced by Vince Maple last night.
You'll be aware that I've had to report previously that we were losing our journalism accreditation here in Medway, but I'm pleased to say that it's back and it's returning thanks to the new university group, London and South East University Group, which recognises the importance of that training for the profession, but also for our community, and particularly here in Medway, because the provider will be coming through KMTV, a really valued key stakeholder and partner of the community here in Medway. I don't always agree with everything they publish and produce, and that's the nature of politics and journalism, but it's great that they're here to hold us to account.
And joining me now in the studio is Andy Richards, our channel director, and Maisie, our level 5 apprentice. So Andy, starting with you, can you tell us more about this new course and what does it mean for us?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey, to be honest. Journalism training has been in Kent for many years, and last year it was announced by the University of Kent that it was going to close its journalism school here. Canterbury Christ Church also closed its journalism course, and it's because less students are wanting to do journalism as a subject over 3 years as an undergraduate course. But it's so important that journalism training still exists, but maybe in a slightly different way, and that's what we are going to be doing with our year's course that we're doing. For us, it's just the start. We're wanting to, at the moment, it's specific for University of Kent students. Next year we'll be bringing University of Greenwich students in, and then we're hoping to offer it to students from outside of those institutions as well. But this was a huge step. It's quite a lot. It's a big task to get the accreditation from the NCTJ, which is a fantastic organisation. So yeah, we're really pleased.
Some really good news. And Maisie, you're here as our level 5 apprentice. So how are you finding the course so far?
Well, it's amazing. It's such an incredible way to get into the industry, especially as it provides that crucial foundation that you need in order to develop these kind of journalistic capabilities, and to do it in a newsroom environment, I think, is the only way that you can really learn as a journalist, because it's often, you can be taught kind of the regulations and the ethical guidelines, but you can't be taught how to find a story, how to kind of approach being on television, for example, if you want to go into broadcast. So it is just a fantastic way to kind of develop those skills and be there.
And what would you say has been the highlights for you so far?
Well, the highlight obviously has to be kind of, I grew up in Kent, I grew up in Maidstone, so it has to be kind of going back to Maidstone, doing those community stories and kind of bumping into people and things like that.
And Andy, for anyone who might be considering this course, why should they apply?
I think it's really about employability, right? If you've made your decision that you want to become a journalist, it's really important that you add that employability aspect and getting that specific training. That's something we're very proud of here at KMTV, about our professionals getting an opportunity to train whilst on the job, but also for those students who are current university students but want to get that employability. I think it's a really good step. It's a good halfway house to be in a professional environment, learning how to be a journalist, but at the same time being a student.
And what kind of response has this had from the community? Oh,
amazing. I think this is a really important aspect about it. As the leader of Medway Council, Vince Maple, said, it's a civic provision, so therefore it's a really important thing for the community. A lot of journalists that have been trained by the universities in Kent have stayed here in Kent to do their work as well. And that's because that's a natural thing to do. You set up life here and you stay here. So it's really important to keep high quality journalism here, particularly at this time now. There is so much going on in the world. Local journalism's never been so important that it's not forgotten those really important issues to communities and underrepresented communities have a voice. At the moment, it's very easy to get drowned out by one Donald Trump and others. So it's really important that local journalism flourishes, and we're hoping our course will help contribute to that in Kent.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you.
Now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all your latest stories across Kent by logging onto our website kmtv.co.uk, where you'll find all of our reports, including this one by Maisie, who we've just been chatting to.
I spoke to Maisie Walker earlier for all the details.
Our reporter Maisie Walker joins me in the studio.
Earlier in the day, I spoke to Maisie Walker to find out more about this.
I came to KMTV for work experience last July and loved it so much that I basically refused to leave. I kept on coming back whenever I could, spending my free periods in the newsroom, volunteering my time and getting involved wherever I was needed. And somehow that persistence turned into a job. Welcome to a day in my life as a Level 5 journalist apprentice. After our morning meeting, where we run through the agenda and plan for the day, I jot down my notes before heading out to cover a story. The piece was about a new scheme designed to improve shop fronts for independent businesses across Kent. I spoke to local business owners as well as a Medway councillor to find out how they expect the scheme to impact the area. Then it was time to film my piece to camera and head back to the newsroom, although it's never quite as easy as you expect, at least not for me. Councillors are hoping... Councillors are hoping this grant will help boost... Let me get my words right, wait. But what I love most about this job is the people you meet. You meet individuals from all walks of life, business owners, campaigners, families, councillors, each with their own perspective and experience. And then there are your peers, the other reporters, camera operators and producers who are navigating the same deadlines, the same early mornings and the same pressure. There's something reassuring about knowing you're not the only one on this path, that other people understand exactly what it feels like. It makes the tough days lighter and the good days even better. Maisie Walker for KMTV.
This past weekend marked International Women's Day, and in Canterbury, an all-female social group are promoting their method to making friends fast. Girls Club was started as a solution to a growing number of women saying that making genuine connections was difficult as an adult. Now, Bianca Bestelega, the owner of Girls Club, joins us now. So, Bianca, why did you start Girls Club?
Hi, yeah, I started it because, exactly like you said, I think as a woman, it's really hard to find a place where you can make new friends. I personally don't like speaking to anyone at the gym. I am not much of a, pub goer, club goer. So I thought, what am I going to do? Start poking people in the supermarket. So I started Girls Club. And yeah, we've been going for about a year now, which is really exciting.
That is really exciting. And what kind of things do you guys do?
Gosh, all sorts. So we do our monthly kind of solid events. So we've got a run club, a book club and a Bible study. Oh, yeah, there they are. And then we do really fun one-off events like sip and paints, cake decorating. And tonight I'm actually going to launch our first ever weekend retreat. So I'm really excited about that. We've had a really, really great uptake on it. So, yeah.
And when did you realise that this was something that the women in Kent needed?
Honestly, really selfishly, it was myself that started this. I always struggled kind of making friends. I always had loads of friends, but I didn't have necessarily really close friends. And I just put a couple of feelers out there, and after 2 events, we got to 1,000 followers. So it was kind of crazy. It's clearly like a big gap in the market. And since I started, there's been a couple others that have popped up now, like Gal and Gather, Kent Girls Club. So yeah, this clearly is something our community really needs. So I'm glad to be able to help.
And how many women and girls show up to these kind of events, or does it vary depending on what the event is?
Yeah, it really does vary. So some of our smaller groups are about 10 people. Then we've got big events that's like 60, 80. It just depends. But if you message me on the Instagram, I can tell you if you're a bit worried about the big events, which one to go to.
And what would you say are some of the advantages of having female-only spaces like Girls Club?
Honestly, it makes me teary thinking about it, but some of the messages that I've had from these girls have just been so heartwarming. Girls that have lost a loved one, and have kind of found like this community and love with us. There's women that have just had a big breakup. There's women that have just moved to the city. They're all alone. So I think it's a really, really important thing to take care of each other, and especially nowadays where everything's on social media and online, to still meet people face to face and make friends, you know.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really lovely to hear about Girls Club.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now it's time for a quick look at the weather. Tonight there are clear skies across the county with temperatures ranging from around 6 in Ashford to 9 degrees in Dartford. By tomorrow morning, partly cloudy skies returning across Kent with winds beginning to pick up around 80 miles and temperatures reaching 10 degrees. Heading into the afternoon, skies will become increasingly cloudy with highs of 12 in Canterbury. And now for your outlook. Friday is expected to stay cloudy with temperatures of 10, increasing to 11 by the end of the week with the sun coming out as well. And now it's time for a short break, but stick with us, because there's plenty more coming up. We'll be hearing about a restaurant reportedly having a poor hygiene rating, and we'll also be speaking with KMTV's health expert, Dr. Julian Spinks. All that and so much more after the break. We'll see you soon. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight live on KMTV. I'm Naila Mohammed and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 11th of March. Project Parenting. Vulnerable mothers offered community in Swale ahead of Mother's Day.
Being a young mum on the island way back, to actually come and be able to serve these mums and these children is such a privilege.
Media in Medway. Journalism diploma returns to Kent as KMTV gains national accreditation.
What I love most about this job is the people you meet. You meet individuals from all walks of life, business owners, campaigners, families, counsellors, each with their own perspective.
And finally, Artists for Mental Health. Creators and visitors come together in Rochester to celebrate the importance of art for well-being.
You know, it's the thing that basically makes you stop and breathe.
And a reminder of our top story tonight. As Mother's Day fast approaches, a charity in Swale has been offering sessions for vulnerable mums to socialise and get support. The Princess Project operates regular groups across Kent for mothers needing that support, whether through their befriending service, parenting advice or clothing bank. And ahead of Mother's Day, they're dialing up the energy. And Chloe Brewster headed to Sheerness to help with the setup.
For many of us, Mother's Day is a day to spend gifting flowers and making or receiving breakfast in bed. But for some mums in Kent, it's just another day to get through. There are 1.3 million children living in poverty in the UK, and 94% of mothers say they feel lonely at least some of the day. Charity The Princess Project hopes to change that. Through the community support groups across Sheppey, Maidstone, Gillingham and Tonbridge, they try to build mums a community while also offering crisis support and parenting resources. I headed to their Mother's Day celebration in Sheerness.
So the Princess Project offers all kinds of support to mums who just need a bit of a helping hand. So one-to-one support through befriending, group support through our mums hubs, which is what we've got happening here today. A lot of mums are quite isolated, so maybe are living away from family or don't have many friends in the same situation as them. A lot of mums struggling with their mental health, a lot of mums having difficulty with their finances because money is tight. We also support a lot of mums who've fled domestic abuse, families who are seeking asylum or refugee families.
Being a young mum on the island way back, to actually come and be able to serve these mums and these children is such a privilege. Obviously, I've got the compassion, I've been there and felt this and been that where, you know, you feel that perhaps you don't fit in because you are a young mum. And to have that community time and just have that chat with other people.
So we really love Mother's Day at the Princess Project. We really love and value every single mum who comes through our doors. And I think it's a really amazing opportunity for us as a Christian charity to really extend the love of Jesus and to, we make up little gift bags. We have amazing volunteers who make those up with us, for us, and they, usually things that have been donated, which is amazing. And we gift those in the hope that that just shows our mums how much they're loved. Sometimes the gift bags that we give may be the only gift that they're given for Mother's Day. And so we just love to do that to show how much we value the mums that are part of our community.
For some of the mothers here, their gift this Mother's Day will be the community they build. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Sheerness.
And as always, here in Kent, there's plenty of news from across the county. And today's news features reports of a Maidstone restaurant with a 0-star hygiene rating, as well as controversial plans for a new housing development. Jay Blakesley joined me earlier to tell me all about it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on The Sofa today, Jay. Can you tell us a little bit about your first story?
So, a restaurant located in Lowerstone Street in Maidstone has recently been given a poor hygiene rating on account of some worrying discoveries found in their kitchen. The Bulgarian dining establishment used to have a 3-star rating after it was discovered that they used falsified rating reviews in their window, but it is now a 0-star establishment on account of some mouldy and out-of-date food, including carrots, uncovered octopus, and illegally imported pork products. It was also mentioned that the cooking space was not adequately maintained or cleaned, featuring hobs covered in old grease and burnt and melted floor coverings. The owners of the business were contacted for a response, but they have yet to give one as of this time.
Right, I see. And can you tell us a little bit about your next story, please?
Of course. So the widow of a Ramsgate builder has recently won an extensive legal battle after some financial complications arose after her late husband's passing. Ms. Joanne Mapp found herself having to pay completely out of pocket for the builders that were under her late husband's employ. This was because their client at the time, Mr. Michael Elson, refused to pay. We actually have Ms. Mapp's response to the situation right here.
The adjudicator found a clear breach of contract, and the awful thing was that the client paid the money within 24 hours. So he had the money, he knew that he owed it. Why didn't he just do the decent thing?
And can you tell us a little bit about your final story?
Of course. The McManus family have provided an outline for their new planning application off Kamer Road. The designs plan to involve space for 725 new home spaces, and 50% of those they actually claim should be affordable housing for first-time buyers. Exact numbers are yet to be provided, but the applicants have suggested that there should be at least 72 one-bedroom spaces, 228 two beds, 327 three beds, and 138 more.
I see. Well, thank you so much for joining me on The Sofa today, Jay.
Thank you.
Now, the NHS has set forth a halt on prescriptions for cross-sex gender hormones for under 18s. This decision has faced some scrutiny from LGBTQ+ rights groups, including the Medway Pride Radio. And on Monday, I spoke to Hilary Cook from the Medway Gender and Sexual Diversity Centre.
Puberty isn't dependent on a specific age as a group. It's dependent on the individual, and any treatment given to anybody needs to be given at the right time for that individual person, because every child deserves medical treatment, and that includes transgender people.
And to give us more information about the changes in hormone treatments, we're now joined by our health expert, Dr. Julian Spinks. So hi Julian, can you first explain what this pause by NHS England actually is and what this means for those looking for gender affirmation?
Well, we've already had a stop on puberty blockers, and that's in younger teenagers typically. We're talking about ones around the 17, 18-year-old age group, and these are giving them estrogen if they're trying to move from being male to female, and testosterone if it's going back the other way. The problem that's come up is that the evidence behind the drugs for safety in particular over long term is just not there. There's very limited amount of evidence, and they've paused so they've got a chance to have a look more closely at what's going on. So it's not a permanent stop, it's really a safety measure. But I do feel for people who are in the middle of transitioning, late teenagers and so on, because it is going to cause problems. It's been a bit of a mess really over the last few years as to what happens with this, where we've swung between being incredibly enthusiastic and giving lots of treatment to children, sometimes possibly unwisely, to going the other way, where now people who genuinely need it are going to have difficulty getting it. So I can only hope that the people who are doing the review will do it quickly.
And you've already mentioned the impact it will have on safety, but how else could it affect people who are either partway through treatment or those who were on the way to getting that treatment?
The good news is the ones who are partway through treatment will continue to get the treatment. They're not stopping people midway, because that could cause all sorts of strange effects, like menopausal style effects. But people who are just about to start, they're not going to get it. So it's going to delay that transition from happening, because they're given things like estrogen if they're becoming female, because it'll then produce things like breast development and so on. And testosterone, again, is for things like deepening the voice and so on. So it's a very important part of that transition process.
And so this pause only applies to the NHS at the moment. It's still available in private clinics. Does that create a risk of there being unequal access to this care depending on whether families can afford this treatment?
It definitely does. And there aren't many private clinics that are doing this. So it is going to be difficult to find that private support, but the cost is going to be significant. And it means that if you are less well off, then you'll not be able to get that treatment until the pause has stopped.
And now we want to move on to this new drug for menopause. And so It's called Veoza and it's now been approved by use for the NHS. Can you explain what the treatment is and how exactly it works?
Yes, this has been around for actually coming up for 3 years, but it hadn't been approved. So it's gone through the NICE, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence process. The drug blocks receptors in the brain which are to do with temperature control. And it turns out if you do that, you can get rid of the flushes. So it's specifically for hot flushes in menopause. It doesn't treat the other symptoms of menopause. And it's only really being recommended for people who can't take hormone replacement therapy. That is a better treatment because it treats the underlying cause rather than that one symptom. But there are some people who can't take HRT. It may be that they've had a lot of thrombosis, they may have other contraindications to it. And so this is another option for those people. Unfortunately, the people who are most likely not to be able to take HRT are people who've had breast cancer or other hormone-dependent cancer. And that still is not going to be the case with this drug because it's not licensed in that situation. But it's a step forward, and I hope that sooner or later some research will come out will say it's okay, it's safe in people who've had breast cancer or who have breast cancer, because it does give an option to get rid of a very unpleasant side effect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Julian. And now it's time for our final break, and we'll see you very soon. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight here on KMTV. And now Kent Student 101 is our programme for students by students, and you can catch a variety of all topics about university life and more, from cooking healthy, affordable dishes to macro meals, and to highlighting the county's artists on Created by Kent. There is something for everyone. And here's a quick look at some of these highlights.
How are you feeling, Marcellus?
I'm feeling energetic, so I think I can beat you.
Bring it on!
And now we're putting our skills to the test with a basketball game of our own with the team. Let's see how we do.
We're covering postgraduate life today and how to begin that job search. What should students try to do after leaving university?
So obviously it is really tough for students out there. From the Office of National Statistics, unemployment for youth, that being 16 to 24-year-olds, is up to 16% as of the end of 2025. The first thing I would say is to get on those job search websites.
Another time-saving tip, leave your chopped up ingredients on the baking sheet and season directly after. This can also help lower your cleanup time in the kitchen. Once seasoned, add in juice of 1 lime and a tablespoon of olive oil and mix. The spices used include a combination of cumin, chili powder, onion powder, garlic powder and smoked paprika. Place into the oven at 200 degrees for 20 minutes, but make sure to keep an eye on it to avoid burning.
A small train ride away from Medway, Milton Creek Country Park in Sittingbourne may not be a student's first choice for a relaxing day out given its distance, but it is no less a beautiful site, ripe for exploration. Now, the site that would later become the country park has a surprisingly detailed history of use dating back to the Victorian era. Then, the region was used for barge building and gravel extraction for brick making.
One of the main things that people will notice while watching the trailer, outside of the comedy obviously, are some of the stunning visuals. Currently we are on location for where you shot some of the film. So what made Kent the perfect filming location?
I think, Kent itself has history with apple farming, which I didn't know as I was about to make the film, but I reached out to a few people and they knew about the history of farms in Kent, and we actually got to shoot on an apple farm apple orchard not too far from here.
And Julia Dreamer joins me in the studio now. And so Julia, for viewers who haven't seen the show before, what is Student 101 all about?
So Kent Student 101 is a student-focused show that focuses on different aspects of student life across the county. The aim is to give students helpful information while also showcasing the creativity, opportunities and experiences that exist within the student community. It's really about helping students make the most of their time at university while highlighting what makes studying in Kent unique.
And can you tell us a little bit about the different segments of the show?
Yeah, so the show features several different segments that each highlight different aspects of student life. And Created by Kent is one of the segments that highlights art and creative projects produced by students in Kent. We also have macro meals, which gives students healthy and affordable meal ideas and shows them how to make these meals. And we have another segment called We Try Out, and that explores activities that students can take part in outside of their studies. While Walking in the Garden shows some of the best places around Kent where students can go for walks and enjoy the county.
And another segment you have is How to Adult. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so that segment is all about helping students navigate the practical side of living independently. For a lot of students, when coming to university, it's their first time that they've had to manage things like budgeting and accommodation or everyday responsibilities. So the segment provides some simple tips and guidance to help make that transition a bit easier for students when they first arrive at university.
And why are shows like these so important for these students who may not have lived away from home before?
I think it's important because it shows that student life involves more than just studying. Students are building independence and discovering new interests and becoming part of a wider community. So a show like Kent Student 101 highlights those different experiences and helps students feel more connected, whether that's through discovering new places in Kent or learning useful life skills or seeing the creative work that other students are producing. I feel like it really helps to make us feel a lot more connected.
And what's been the most enjoyable part about being on the show?
One of the best parts about being on the show has been collaborating with other students who are passionate about media. And it's really rewarding to see all of our ideas come together to create something that represents student life in Kent. And we've also had the opportunity to explore different parts of the county and meet a lot of other talented students, which has been a really fun experience.
Do you have a favourite episode of Student 101?
I think the first episode was one of my favourites, especially the segment We Try Out where they did the K-pop dancing, and yeah, I found that really fun.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
And now time for the weather. Highest of 10 across the county here in Dartford, lowest of 6 in Ashford. Into tomorrow morning, it's highest of 18 across the county, Maidstone 10 degrees, lowest of 9. Into the afternoon, you've got highest of 26 degrees, lowest of 11 in Margate, and 10 in Ashford. Your outlook for the rest of the week, it's 10 on Friday, 10 degrees on Saturday, a bit cloudy, and 11 on Sunday with a bit of sun. And finally, our reporter Alia Pritchard went down to Rochester to visit its yearly arts fair. She spoke with several of the artists behind the event, asking about their creations and how art can support our well-being. So let's see what she found out.
Last weekend, artists and visitors gathered in Rochester's Corn Exchange for Rochester Art Fair. I spoke to director Eva Page to find out more.
I felt that there is nothing in Medway. I was hoping to bring a fair to Medway and allow artists to express themselves and to be seen. And we are growing now, and it's just a proof that everyone actually needs that in Rochester.
Eva also told me about her new art installation called The Rocking Chair. Visitors could sit and contemplate.
The world is in a really fast pace, so just to sit down and rock in a chair, which you're very welcome to, and just kind of forget everyone is here and then just kind of have a bit of contemplation and then a reflection time.
This fair was set up to connect artists directly to the public. Let's find out the behind-the-scenes process of setting up this event.
I started last year, so all the planning and calling artists to exhibit and logistics and setting up this exhibition and working with the venue, with the Medway Council, local communities, and just to get everyone together to enjoy.
I also spoke to some of the many artists here about the kind of art they make and the meanings behind them.
The art I make is all about celebrating who we are, basically. So I paint for emotion. And what I've worked out over the years of doing this, I don't think I'm painting the emotion that I feel in the moment, it's the emotion that I need.
So this art here is actually based on real stories. And lived experiences.
This piece is particularly special to me. Basically, I was diagnosed with MS in 2022, but since having that diagnosis, I've turned that into a positive, so I take every day as it comes, and it's all about just adjusting that crown and just not letting it dampen me and my soul.
Art is often said to be a creative outlet that is important to people's well-being. But what do these artists think?
So important to my well-being. I struggled with my mental health for a long time, and I talk openly about it, and I think the way I did it was I escaped into art. Art saved me.
I think art is an incredible outlet for that, whether you're buying and looking at it every day and it gives you that feeling, or you're immersing yourself in it and doing it yourself as well.
You know, it's the thing that basically makes you stop and breathe.
Alia Pritchard for KMTV.
And quickly before we go, residents from Maplewood Courts Care Home in Maidstone underwent a fabulous transformation, dressing up in flamboyant wigs and sunglasses for a photo shoot. The organisers, Laura Taylor and Joe Morgan, said that they wanted to give the residents the opportunity to go over the top and feel fabulous. 100-year-old resident Hilda House shared that she loved the experience and that they made her look 80 instead of 100, and she had so much fun. The team at their care home are hoping to organise an exhibition to share the joy with family and friends. Now, you've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV, and there's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening. And don't forget, you can always keep up to date with the latest news across your county by logging on to our website, kmtv.co.uk. You can also keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. And if you have a story you think we should be covering, then do get in touch. We also have a series of special programmes, in Victor Sport, based in Kent. Choosing 101, we've just heard from Julia now about the show which is being aired right after Kent Tonight, and Kent Film Club tomorrow, which you can watch throughout the week or catch up with on our website. And we've had a brilliant amount of stories on our social media as well. You can see another video about the CCTV attacker. But for me, for now, have a good evening and we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.